Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to The Bunker. It's time for another voicemail. Today's voicemail has been left by Willow. Let's listen to what Willow has to say.
Hi, Lloyd. My name is Willow. I'm 32 years old, non-binary, trans femme. I came out to my family last year after I disassociated. And I also woke up last year very abruptly. It'll actually just be a year ago. But basically, around the time when I woke up, I also remembered years of abuse and cycles of abuse from a few brothers in that brought my family into the truth, quote unquote. Anyway, I actually talked to the elders about it as I was waking up, along with a lot of my doubts. And then they actually tried to get me to have a Zoom call with him last year with one of the perpetrators. So that was a really awkward conversation. Anyway, I would love to get my story out there and try and find out if I can name some of these people that have done it to several others, because I'm sure I'm sure I'm not the only one. Um, and I also have my current little sister who is also an XJW. She left a year before me. She has some stories about her congregation and the abuse that she went through with her own father. So, and she also is 100% willing to speak out about it. So please, yeah, you can air this as much as you want. I am not ready to maybe go fully public, but nobody that is currently a witness knows me by this name. So I can just stay by this guise for now. And yeah, love to talk to you.
Well, thank you very much, Willow, for your bravery in leaving this message. Hard to know where to begin. I've seen so much evidence in my 10 years of activism of how rampant child sexual abuse is within the Jehovah's Witness religion. You'd think that it wouldn't shock me, but every time it does, every time I am shaken by just how widespread this is. And for you to have gone through this experience at the hands of, you say, a few brothers. So we're not just talking one individual, we're talking a few individuals in your case. You say that your little sister has also been abused. And you say that your elders tried to set up a Zoom call with one of your abusers, which is actually the opposite of what elders are told to do in the Shepherd the Flock of God book. So I'm interested to know what their logic was, or what loophole your case fell into, so that that was somehow acceptable for you to be re-traumatized in that way. Absolutely disgusting. I'm so encouraged that you want to speak out about this. It sounds as though there is still some reticence on your part, and that's totally understandable. I've, by this point, interviewed dozens of child sexual abuse survivors, and one recurring theme is how traumatizing it is to just talk about what happened, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with the police, whether it's with a journalist, whether it's in a newspaper or on television or in private. I get the impression that just talking about it in a way keeps it going or empowers in some way the person who perpetrated the abuse. And so I'm always moved by the bravery of survivors when they come forward and speak out. And you're to be applauded for just leaving this message. But if you do ever feel that you are at a point where you can summon that bravery, so that we can highlight this issue and add more voices so that there can be more pressure to stop it from happening, well, that would just be amazing. I would just say, though, and I need to say this, in any case of this nature, there's a priority. There's an order of priority in terms of how this gets done, in terms of how justice is sought. And there's the expression putting the cart before the horse. It has to be done properly so that people can be protected. And that's what this is about. When we're talking about child abuse, we're talking about the potential for children to still be abused now by the people who abused you. And for them to be protected, there's only one way forward, and that's for the authorities to be involved. So we can't have a situation where it's, well, the priority is doing an interview or sharing my story on YouTube, and then at some later point, maybe I'll get round to speaking to the police. The police need to be, in my opinion, the very first point of contact, which, if you think about it, is not the way Jehovah's Witnesses do things, is it? That's the entire problem, is that they say, we'll be the gatekeepers here. We will manage this situation for you, and we'll decide at what point the police get involved, if they ever get involved. So when it comes to my activism and my channel, I say the opposite of that. I say, whenever a survivor approaches me, have you spoken to the police? And don't get me wrong, I understand, again, how traumatizing even doing that is. I understand. And it's not something where it's easy to say, think of all of the children who are at risk. But when you're the one who's been abused and it's your abuse that you need to verbalize with someone, even if that person is a police officer, I really can understand and empathize that that would be a huge emotional hurdle for you. But that's the hurdle that you need to take before you share your story. And the same would apply to your little sister. The police need to be brought into this situation so that children can be protected. And once that's done, that's when we can start thinking about how we can share your story and allow you to speak out so that we can add to this overwhelming weight of evidence that there is something desperately wrong with this organization when it comes to abuse. Because unfortunately, the police aren't going to sort the whole problem out, are they? The FBI, last time I checked, weren't banging down the doors at Warwick to get the child abuse database. There's this disconnect, infuriatingly, with law enforcement when it comes to getting to the core of the problem, which is the fact that it's a documented policy for the organization to cover up abuse. But even if it's just on a case-by-case basis, even if the police are only willing to deal on a case-by-case basis, let's give them those cases. Let's share what we can with them at the pace that is comfortable with an abuse survivor. Again, I can only imagine how difficult just doing that would be. But it always, always has to be that the police get involved first. And then when you're ready, I would be more than happy to do whatever is in my power to make sure that your voice gets heard. Same thing for your little sister. And it's not just me doing this. There are many responsible ex-Jehovah's Witness activists who are helping survivors be heard so that eventually justice will be done. It's taking so long. It's so infuriating seeing the lack of energy, the lack of interest in the media and in governments, in politicians to sort this out. It's just so obvious. But you like to think that the more voices get added, the more people do speak out, the more survivors come forward, as you're bravely considering doing. It's just inevitable that at some point the dam will burst. You like to think that that's how this will play out. Eventually, there will be this critical mass reached so that we can finally have some justice and so that child abuse stops being covered up. But you have my deepest admiration for leaving the voicemail. You have my deepest sympathies that this happened to you in the first place. I believe you. It's not okay that this was done to you. I'm sure compounded. I'm sure the treatment of you as a non-binary person, and I'm sure there was a lot of dismissiveness about that as well that will have compounded things. So I'm sure there are many facets to your story that need to be explored, but they should be explored at your pace, at a pace that you feel comfortable with. And again, the police need to be the first port of call. But thank you so much for calling in with your message, and I wish you the best of luck. If you would like to leave a message, the thing to do is go to speakpipe.com/Cedars, remembering to indicate clearly if you don't want me to play your message on this channel. But that's all I have time for. Thank you so much for watching.